You've made it to Chiro Hustle. Sit back and learn from the greatest influencers in the profession on the world's #1 chiropractic podcast. This episode is brought to you by Peach State Payments. Ethical processing, more profit, less stress. Chiro HD, more than an EHR. Projects management simplified. The Chiro Speaking Company. Attract, educate, and convert. ChiroSpring, cloud-based, user-friendly software with all the essential features chiropractors need. Rudman Relight. The IFCO. Chiro Moguls. Chiro Health USA. Sherman College of Chiropractic. Pure Chiro Notes, Titronics, and Life West College of Chiropractic. Let's hustle. This episode of Chiro Hustle is brought to you by Relight Hydration by Redmond. Here's the truth. Most Americans are walking around dehydrated, low energy, brain fog, muscle cramps, afternoon crashes, and many people think they just need more coffee, when they actually need more electrolytes. Because hydration isn't just about drinking more water, it's about the minerals. Your body relies on electrolytes like sodium, potassium, and trace minerals to help your cells actually absorb and use the water you drink. Without those minerals, water alone doesn't do the job. That's where Relight Hydration comes in. Relight is built around Rudman Real Salt, a natural, mineral-rich salt harvested from an ancient seabed in Utah. It provides the foundational sodium your body needs for proper hydration, along with balanced electrolytes to support energy, muscle function, and daily performance. No artificial dyes, no unnecessary fillers, just clean electrolytes built around real mineral salt. Because at Redmond, we believe the secret's in the salt. If you're new to Relight, start with their sample pack so you can try multiple flavors and find your favorite. Once hydration becomes part of your daily rhythm, you'll feel the difference. And chiropractors understand this well. The nervous system runs on electrical signals, and electrolytes help support that communication throughout the body. If you're tired of hitting the wall mid-afternoon, it might not be more caffeine you need. It might just be better hydration. Go to chirohustle.com and get 25% off of Relight with their exclusive promo. Hydrate smarter, move better, stay aligned.
Hey guys, welcome to episode 754 of the Chiro Hustle Podcast. I'm your producer, Luke Millette, and here's your host, James Chester.
So today we had an opportunity to interview the founder of ChiroSpring, Brian Albery. If you want to hear about their software, their mission, and their service, stay tuned for the full episode. Welcome back. This is another episode of the Chiro Hustle Podcast. They have Brian Albery on with us. It's a sponsorship edition for ChiroSpring. If you guys want to check out ChiroSpring, go to the name badge where his name says Brian Albery and go to chirospring.com and schedule your demo today with their amazing team. And I'm sure that they'd be happy to hear from you. Before we get into this episode, I want to let you know our big why. Why do we do what we do over here at Chiro Hustle? Well, first things first is freedom of speech. We know how important that is to the medical profession, especially chiropractic, when it comes to people finding resources to speak their mind when it comes to them and their family's health. Speaking of that, we believe in medical freedom and family health freedom. So if you're looking for those solutions, reach out to a chiropractor in your community. Philosophically speaking, we protect BJ Palmer's Sacred Trust. If you don't know what that means, go to the show notes, click on Sacred Trust, and you're going to find more about the profession than you knew previously, I guarantee you. And if you've been practicing for 30 years, maybe go and reinvigorate your fire and check out what that means. And maybe it's a good positioning statement for you. And I know that I shouldn't have to say this, but they're removing some of the lexicon from the universities and colleges in chiropractic. So with that being said, we are a subluxation-based show. We believe in that philosophy. So if you know a student that needs to hear chiropractic philosophy, share the show with them. Go to chirohustle.com and check that out. We also believe in innate intelligence, universal intelligence, and the educated intelligence. We believe that when man or woman, the physical gets adjusted, it connects them to man or woman, the spiritual, which creates the educated intelligence. And this is episode 754 of the Chiro Hustle Podcast. And this is Brian Albery. And this is ChiroSpring. Welcome to the show.
Hey, thank you, James. Appreciate you having me.
Yeah, I had a chance to get interacted with your sales team out at Parker a few months ago, and I started learning more and more about your brand and what you're doing, and how amazing the work that you've compiled since 2000. Looks like 2011.
Mhm.
What you were doing to help the chiropractic profession, and it's really taken off. So if you could just share your story about the software and how it integrates into the chiropractic world, that'd be great.
Yeah, absolutely. So ChiroSpring really started from an idea, like most companies do. My wife, Dr. Chrissy Albery, is a chiropractor and went to the very school you just mentioned, so Palmer College in Davenport, Iowa. And when she graduated, like every chiropractor, she was looking for software, James. So she needed software to run a practice. I mean, obviously you need equipment, you need a building, we need all of that stuff. But at the end of the day, you need software. So we demoed a lot of systems during that time and weren't really blown away by any of the systems. Now, my background's in pharmacy. I'm actually a pharmacist, so I do have a medical background, but I'm really passionate about, entrepreneurship, technology, and I said to Chrissy, I said, we could build software that's better than what's out there. Now, how do you do that? Well, that's a very difficult thing. So, lucky for us, we had a friend that was a programmer. We convinced him to join our company. We created the company, the brand, and we coded our first 1.0 product over a 2-year process and then launched it. So that was difficult, but really scaling from that point is very, very challenging. You get your first customer, second customer, and now we're in the thousands of customers. We've been doing this for well over a decade. So that's our start, but really, it's the passion that we have for the profession, and really me being a Type A perfectionist, James, want to make sure everything in the system is doing what it's supposed to be doing, and it's making the chiropractors' lives easier.
Well, I think that that's really cool. It's a great origin story. And I don't know the exact quote, but something about the invention comes out, the mother of invention is born out of necessity or something.
Oh yeah,
It sounded like that you guys were like deep in the trenches of needing something to fill that responsibility for your practice early on.
absolutely.
Um, the mission of the software. Um, Tell us a little bit about the mission of what you guys are up to today.
Yeah, so that it really kind of when we started the company, it was how can we make the best software that's cloud-based, that's also the easiest software to use. So that's where we started. We accomplished that. Now it's how can we change the profession? How can we better the profession? And when we're looking into the future, I know we're going to get those conversations. We're really going to have the whole conversation about what can technology do for you using AI, and how can, a lot of people, haven't quite grasped the concepts on what can be done with AI, but we want to make you, the chiropractor, the doctor, do what you went to school for. See your patients. We're going to take all of the hard work off the table for you. We're going to do the marketing for you. I mean, everything in one system, and it's super, super easy. So that's the mission, James.
Yeah, that's great. And we'll talk more about the service and tech and chiropractic and what's new and what's next before we wrap up today. But let's just go into telling us a little bit about some of your mentors. And I know that was something that you messaged me back about that you would like to talk about today. So let's talk about the chiropractic mentors that you've had.
Yeah, I mean it's been a journey. I've met thousands of chiropractors, over the past, 12, 13 years. So it's hard to say who is the mentor or the, a few of the mentors, but I'll say a couple of them. So one of them is Dr. Jason Mackey. He's a chiropractor out in Wisconsin, and he has done a phenomenal job in really building an enterprise practice. So he has, well over 20 practices. He uses our software, and I have learned a lot from Dr. Mackey. And it's because he's really pushed us to the limits of, scalability, but what kind of reporting is necessary. If it's going to work for a large enterprise, it's going to work for, a smaller practice. So we went through a lot of things with their billing team and really fine-tuned the software, and they absolutely love it. So I would say he would be one. Another mentor of mine would be Sam Wang. So Sam Wang is one of the co-founders of Chiro One. I've known Sam for some time, and he's a mentor in a different aspect, not really from, hey, this is how, I think about chiropractic, but it's more of how I think about business. And so Sam is an entrepreneur. So he has been a phenomenal friend of mine and somebody that has really, helped, I guess you could say, bridge the gap between, building a company and a brand.
I
Question,
think
James?
I think the things that you're sharing there make a lot of sense. Is when someone scales, you scale, and when somebody else finds systems that work for them and they can implement your software into it, everybody benefits then. But I think it's really cool to see that you've worked with the one-off practices to the ones that have near 150 practices.
Yeah. So I would say those are some of the mentors. I mean, again, I've spoken to thousands of DCs, and I've learned a lot from all of them. I mean, we are a voice of customer company. I would say you could really say every feature in the software has been voice of customer. Now, through my vision and understanding and connecting the dots, that's where we've been able to really stay ahead of the competition and deliver a great experience to the customer and understanding what the customer needs through that voice of customer, if that makes sense, James.
Yeah, I mean, everything is a culture fit, right? And when they understand your ethos of why you do it, the customers are attracted to that. So I think that's the thing, is being forward thinking with software and your mission, and how tech can integrate into people's practices. That's a big thing, is saving people time. When you think about the average chiropractic office, they're open 9 to noon, 3 to 6, 3 to 6, 9 to noon, 3 to 6, 3 to 6, and then 9 to noon. So knowing that there's limited practice hours, I think it's really important to understand the threshold of what a chiropractor does on their day-to-day practice, and how you can help implement your tools into their practice to where they're not doing chart notes and they're not doing patient files while they're at home or at the kids' games or on vacation, right?
Exactly.
So speeding up the process to make sure that when you work, it works for you.
Right.
And I know we want to talk about tech and chiropractic. So what are some of the biggest challenges that chiropractors face?
Well, I hate to say it, but there's a lot of challenges they face. The first challenge is really overcoming the objection of chiropractic in general. Only about 20% of the population will go to a chiropractor. And it's not anybody's fault or anything like that. But if you look at an MD out of school, an MD will go into a practice, they'll hire the MD, and they have patients just coming to them because that's where the insurance is sending them. And chiropractors don't have that. So it's a huge disadvantage. The other thing is it's typically private practice. So they're always going out and they're having to get loans. They're having to, really bootstrap their practice from the beginning, get all their patients through marketing. They have to be masters at a lot of things, James, that like an MD would not have. So I would say those are some of the big challenges for them.
20% market only. That's wild.
Yeah, it's around 20%. And, then you look at some of the other challenges. They're facing challenges with reimbursements from insurance companies. And that's been a downward trend for years. And, they never paid great to begin with. So that's a challenge. On top of that, you have billing challenges, the complexities of submitting those claims themselves, and ICD-10 and coding and diagnosis pointing. There's so many things that are involved, and you need to make sure that is a clean claim and so forth when it's sent out.
And how does your software aid in that? Because I know that there's a lot of people that deal with, not getting paid or keeping, getting I don't know. I worked in a clinic seems like eons ago, but we would get denial letter after we'd submit to them. And I'm like, what is this game? So does your software help them get the reimbursement that they actually are due?
Yeah, so it does. So we actually have a predictive AI that's based on claims that are submitted per that particular insurance carrier that will give you a predictive suggestion on using a certain code. So it's a really nice tool to use. We also have the advanced claim scrubber tool prior to submission, James. So we're going to scrub your claim for, missing diagnoses, modifiers that might be missing, obviously big things like birth date, missing from a patient or an ID number, to make sure that those claims are clean. And once they are submitted, we also have a denial section in the software where you can see all of the claims that were actually rejected by the insurance, the reasons why they're rejected. So you get that information right away so you can act upon it. A lot of systems don't have that. You have to log into a clearinghouse to get that information. Doctors are too busy to do that. The front desk is too busy to do that for the most part. And then you have to hire a billing company.
How did you find out that that was something that was lacking in the profession?
I mean, I guess you could say that's, to me, it's common sense. But again, I've talked to thousands of chiropractors. So really just understanding their feedback, after you hear it, a dozen, 30, 50 times, you start to understand that there's a pattern to that. But we're not stopping there, James. We really want to take billing even further. And I know we're going to get into what's next, but billing is one of the biggest problems for practices. And we have a lot of things coming in the roadmap. They're going to make sure that that's going to be even more seamless for everybody.
So let's throw a scenario at you. What happens if a patient doesn't pay that's using your software? How do you help get that doc paid?
Oh yeah, that's another common problem because patients will not pay in some cases. So there's two ways to combat that. First of all, you want to get that money up front. Now, there are a couple ways to do that. You can do that using PMR, which is called patient member responsibility, where the system will estimate their copay, coinsurance, deductible. We know their visits remaining, all of that information. We know the allowed amount for that particular charge or set of charges. So when you check that patient out, our system is going to calculate what is owed. So that is what you should collect for that visit. Now, some practices operate a little bit differently where they will create treatment plans. So you might say, I'm going to do a 20 visit plan, 20 adjustments, 10 lasers, maybe one x-ray in there, 2 decompressions, something like that. And you can build these plans as preset templates. And you can even offer discounts as an incentive for your patient for paying these up front. Our system will also do calculations if you want to split it up over 4 or 5 payments. And then it automatically bills those patients. So through ChiroSpring Pay, which is our integrated payment solution, you won't have that problem, James. It'll automatically bill the card for that. And again, on the upfront collection, you should be getting that payment as well. One other thing is with statements. Now you've missed those two things, right? They're not on some auto pay. They didn't pay up front, or maybe they did pay up front, but then you find out, oh no, they have a deductible. I thought they owed $20. They actually owe $275. So what happens is you use our statements area of the software. It'll show you every patient with a balance. This is patient owed money. You can generate those statements and then send them out in a single click via SMS or email. Of course, you could use postmail, but sending them with a payment link is going to get you paid faster, and it's way less expensive.
I love so much of what you're sharing here. It doesn't sound like just a software. It sounds like a billing department too.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. With an EHR, you're not really an AHR, and we haven't even gotten into the patient engagement side of it or the reporting and things like that. But you have to cover a lot of bases, truly to really wrap around a practice so that you can make it grow in all areas, because if you're suffering in the billing side, Doesn't matter how many patients are coming through your door because you're marketing. We're not getting paid. That's a problem. So everything needs to work, in harmony.
Yeah, sounds like a very, very robust model that you guys have here at ChiroSpring. And
Mhm.
it almost sounds like having a coach and practice management in the same house.
Yeah, to an extent. I mean, there's a lot of different there's a lot of coaching companies out there. But the coaching companies, they'll tell you on certain codes to bill. They'll tell you, different strategies for marketing and things like that. I'm not saying not to use coaching groups, but if you use a software like ChiroSpring, what they're telling you to do will become very easy. So that would be my recommendation.
You've made it to Chiro Hustle. Sit back and learn from the greatest influencers in the profession on the world's #1 chiropractic podcast. This episode is brought to you by Peach State Payments. Ethical processing, more profit, less stress. Chiro HD, more than an EHR. Practice management simplified. The Chiro Speaking Company. Attract, educate, and convert. ChiroSpring, cloud-based, user-friendly software with all the essential features chiropractors need. Rudman Relight. The IFCO. Chiro Moguls. Chiro Health USA. Sherman College of Chiropractic. Pure Chiro Notes, Titronics, and Life West College of Chiropractic. Let's hustle. Hey docs, let me ask you something. Are you adjusting patients but not adjusting your revenue? Because a lot of chiropractors are still undercharging without even realizing it. They're accepting insurance allowances that are just too low, and they're hesitant to raise the fees because they're worried about pushback from patients. The problem is, when your fees and financial systems aren't aligned, it creates a slow leak in your practice. And when you try to grow, more marketing, more patients, maybe even another location, the leak gets bigger. There's actually a smarter way to handle this. Chiro Health USA helps chiropractors charge appropriately when insurance is available while still serving cash or limited benefit patients through a compliant discount medical plan. The results? Many practices see revenue increases around 15 to 20% without adding more visits. Same patients, better margins, more freedom. If you want to stop leaving money on the table and build a practice that's both profitable and compliant, check out chirohealthusa.com to learn more. So I think based on that, there's a big word out there. It's kind of ugly and nasty. It's kind of small, but it's called audits. Mm-hmm. How does that work with what you guys do, and how does that help the end user?
Well, with an audit, there's a couple things. First of all, you need to make sure that you're billing appropriately. So when you send out your coding, you want to make sure that codes are in certain orders. You're not building codes that you shouldn't be billing for. You're not overbilling, that kind of thing. But if you get audited, you also need to make sure that your notes are compliant. That's where they're going to look, and they're going to say, well, you didn't document, medical necessity. You didn't document really that you even adjusted the patient, but yet you charge for an adjustment, that kind of thing, James. So you really need to make sure, and our notes make that easy. Number one, we have, over 50 pre-built notes for you guys right out of the box, but you can customize the notes to fit your style. So if there's certain codes that you're using, you're going to want to make sure that your notes are following a certain process. And you can also use what's called advanced ditto. So you can pre-populate the entire note in a single click. So if you have a patient scenario that comes in, maybe a new patient visit, and you want to mark all your tests on the exam note as with the normal limits, you can do that in a single click. And then you just change the things that aren't WNL. So really, with audits, as long as you're following the format of the note, you're billing appropriately, you should be fine.
Yeah, I mean, that's really cool, is that your systems help provide information and keep things T's crossed and I's dotted, to where if something ever does come up like that they have the fallback system to where they don't get that oh crap moment. What do I do
Right.
now? How do I fix this? Because then it's too late, right?
Yeah, it's too late. And I've had, unfortunately, a few cases where, fraud cases, some of our customers were involved in fraud, which, is never a good thing. And we can't help you there. You break the law, then you break the law.
So I know that we want to talk about next step. What's next? What's new?
Mhm.
What's happening over there in the ChiroSpring camp? What are you guys rolling out soon?
It's always exciting. After, what is it, 13 years of doing this, you would think, it'd start to get boring, but technology never stops. And the industry constantly, changes and you need to adapt. So we're always rolling out new things. We just launched last month, James, our advanced spine. And you think, okay, well, what is that? It's a spine. How good could it be? When you look at most practice management systems on the market today, they have a spine where you can mark the adjustments, but they are terrible. Some are just little check boxes that do nothing. Some require you to do a lot of typing. Some look like spreadsheets that, it's like, okay, do I really want to look at that? Yeah, I can click on things. We build a spine that is visually appealing. It's fast to use. It's customizable so that you can use it with any technique, Gonstead, Thompson, Diversified, anything you want, and pre-populate those listings. Obviously, mark areas to avoid so that it's safe when you're seeing that patient. You might not remember every single patient where they have, fusions or things like that, or another doc might be seeing the patient. So the advanced spine is phenomenal tool for speed and accuracy in documentation.
Yeah, I mean, as the tools improve, the system gets built and people have more resources. And when people have more resources, their job actually improves. And um, I think that's really cool. And if people wanted to demo that, how do they see this advanced spine model?
So just go to chirospring.com. On our website in the upper right corner, it's going to say schedule my demo. Our sales team will kind of walk you through all that. You can see some images of it on the website. And even if you go to YouTube and just type in ChiroSpring, there's a short demo of the advanced spine.
Yeah, I think it's cool just because people I'm sure are going to watch this and I'm like, well, how do I see this thing that this guy's talking about? And
Yeah, exactly.
and and are you guys doing any integration of AI into your systems also?
Yeah, so kind of a sneak peek. I'll just lift up the curtain a little bit without giving away too much. AI is the future. It's 100% the future. James disappeared again. And if you don't start now, you're going to be way behind. So we've already gotten a big head start on AI. And we expect to launch some of these things before the end of the year, if not early, January or February, but most likely by end of year. And AI can do a lot. So the first thing with AI is obvious, the notes. And there's a couple of different ways to do your notes. The first would be, hey, I don't want to even touch anything. So my computer's sitting in the room and I'm adjusting my patient and I can speak to what I'm adjusting. So, okay, it looks like we're palpating T6 and you have a little pain and tenderness there. All right, I'm going to adjust that. T6 has been adjusted. Perfect. How did you respond to that, James? How does that feel? We have a conversation with the patient naturally. And guess what? When you're done, you have an entire note that's been created using AI. Now, the other way to create it is using micro data points. That's how our notes work today. Drop downs, check boxes, columns. All of that information you can build in the template. And with that, it creates a note. That note is very, I would say, rigid to an extent, but the AI can then translate that note into a beautifully crafted document. And that becomes very beneficial in a couple of cases. We talked about audits. Well, when insurances request documentation, the first thing they're going to get you on is, well, your last 6 notes are the same. They're all canned. So that is a big problem. Then they say, we're not paying for those last 5 visits. So you need to have the ability when they request notes. Yes, we kept the original note that you created, but let's generate an AI clone of that note that speaks to the language of Blue Cross or speaks the language of a PI case or Medicare. Those are just some of the things.
Well, I mean, it's light years ahead of the way most people even think. And, I would think that if you're doing the same thing and you're doing patient care over X amount of visits and you're doing the same type of adjusting, you're doing the same type of patient care,
Mhm.
why wouldn't it be okay to have the same note for 3 to 5 visits in a row?
Yeah, exactly. So it should be okay, but the insurance, unfortunately, they rule everything. So you need to stay ahead of the game. And the thing is insurance companies are getting involved in AI. So now they're going to start reading your notes with an AI agent, not a human, and it's going to become an even worse. You're going to be at a disadvantage if you're not using AI.
Wow.
Yeah.
And I know you got some other things that you're working on with the software that can help with the future, which is helping support front desk staff and scheduling appointments and things like that. Let's talk about that.
So AI can really wrap its arms around the entire system. And, back to one of your earlier questions, what are some of the problems with chiropractic? Well, here's a big one: staff, turnover, training, education. You hire somebody for your practice, it takes you 2 to 3 months to get them trained. Then they find another job because they're a millennial and they're job hopping. You're right. This is a real thing. So we have that problem. And on top of that, you might hire somebody that's got a bubbly personality. They're great with patients, but guess what? When you ask them to do patient recall or fill in the gaps on the scheduler, they're not getting that done. Well, AI can do all of that. So with AI, we plan to build automation that's going to keep your schedule full. You're going to have the ability to create wait lists. AI can have chat bots that will send messages with recall. Say, hey, James, you haven't been in a while. How are you feeling? You say, hey, I kind of want to come back in. It'll start having a conversation with you. You won't even know it's not a person, and it's going to get you booked based on what you responded with.
Have you guys I mean, I know this isn't a prepped question for you, but have you guys thought about using this type of software integration to do reactivation campaigns from people that they haven't seen for a month or 6
Absolutely.
months or a year or 2 years even?
Absolutely. So we already have that built in the system today, but it's not through AI. So AI kind of takes it really to the next level where right now our system will send a message, you know, you haven't been in 3 months. You're going to get a message. Hey, James, haven't seen you in a while. Hope you're doing great. All right. 4 months go by. You still haven't been in. You get another message. Maybe it's a little different. Well, you can't really respond. I mean, yes, you can respond, but you're not going to get a response back from an AI agent. Now you will get a response back from a human, right? You say, "Hey, I'm doing good. I guess you're right. It has been about 4 months." But when we have AI involved, it can start using, more conversation and kind of prep to get that person back. It can be more smart on who it's going to. I mean, you're going to have the ability to let the system do all of this work. Imagine having 5 employees that you pay $0 an hour for that work 24/7. I mean, that's where we're headed. That's where we need to go. And with practices, really, some of them struggling with the amount of dollars they're bringing in. Not all of them. I mean, there's many multi-million dollar practices, but they need to do what they can to maintain profitability. And, you know, again, with the employee turnover, if you have somebody that quits, now you're really trying to fill a hole. AI is not going to quit.
Yeah, I think it's real practical knowledge for people, and I think it's real practical resources for the marketplace. And as I listen more and more to what you're saying is you see a little bit of the future of what the profession needs and how you've integrated so much knowledge skill from talking to thousands of chiropractors from 2011 to now, well over a decade. I think there's a huge component here for software helping with practice management, software with helping with billing department, software helping with scheduling, rescheduling, reactivation. But earlier on, you said something about marketing. I'm really curious. How are you using ChiroSpring to help chiropractors with marketing?
So I'll tell you how we're doing it today and how I want to see it done in the future. So today you can build marketing templates, text message templates, email templates, write them any way you want. Again, we already have the automated recall built into the system. You can set that cadence. So that's happening. We also send automated birthday messages, which is a type of marketing that's, it's a soft touch on a patient because you're not really harassing them. You're just wishing them happy birthday. They should be happy about that typically. So that's a way to market. You can also use tags in the system. So if I want to tag any patients that I have that are maybe, in a certain, demographic, or maybe my Medicare patients, maybe patients that are on like a stretch program or something like that, use the tags and then just filter and send out a broadcast message to those segments. So lots of different ways that you can do that today. Now, how will marketing work in the future? Well, with a chatbot, James, you can actually have patients go to your website and interact. When you're sleeping, they can, say, how you doing? Oh, yeah, I'd like to get an appointment, haven't been here before. It starts asking questions about the patient. It gets them booked so that when you come into your practice that morning, you have 5, 6 new patients already on the schedule. That is where we need to be. That is where your practice needs to be if you want to stay competitive, so just an example. Yep.
Off camera, I look forward to talking to you more about the marketing aspect of ChiroSpring and helping possibly integrate some things I've been working on with chat bots and landing pages and conversions. And it's really cool stuff. But we're almost at the edge of our conversation today. Are there anything that I didn't ask? Is there anything I didn't ask you that you wanted to share with our audience today?
Really the only other thing is, back to AI, we want to explore billing. So to really take that to the next level. And what I mean by that is having a biller is expensive. And you have to, if you bring one in-house, you might have to train them. Well, if you have AI that can look at all of the claims for the entire state, whatever state you're in, and it can see which modifiers were added to certain charges, and then you're missing those modifiers, AI can go in and correct those, if you allow it, of course, and then resubmit. There's a lot of very monotonous things that humans are doing now that can be done through AI. So that is one big area that we plan to put a big focus into.
Yeah, I think it's incredible. Last question for you. Where do you see the profession going in the next decade with ChiroSpring?
Well, in the next decade, it really just goes back to, it's like, oh, the buzzword is AI, but that is the absolute truth. So if you're not using a system that's AI capable or does not plan to be AI capable, you need to start doing that now. If you're not, you're going to be at a disadvantage. You're going to be at a disadvantage in terms of efficiency, but also when the chiropractor, 3 blocks down the road from you is getting patients that you're not because they're using AI chatbots, it all circles back. So.
Well, Brian, I appreciate you being on with me today. There's so much to look forward to working with you guys long term. Once again, this is a sponsorship edition. And I wish I had better control of my camera today. It seems to have a mind of its own.
That's okay.
But thank you for being our guest today. Your episode 754 of the Chiro Hustle Podcast. And we have a bright future ahead of us. Thank you for being a contributor to our amazing platform of 8 years and 754 episodes. Our North Star is going to 1,000 shows. So thank you for being with us, and looking forward to having more people on your software platform. So if you guys want to check it out, it's chirospring.com. Reach out to his team, do a demo, and see if we can help you with so many facets of your practice that you didn't know an EHR could help with. And with that being said, you're going to say one more thing?
Nope. I was just saying thanks for having me on, James. Appreciate it.
Oh, cool. Thank you. Thank you for being on with me today. Thank you for making time. And I'll close out like I always do and tell everybody, you're just one story away. Keep hustling. I'll see you guys on the next episode. Bye for now. Thanks for listening to Chiro Hustle. Don't forget to subscribe and check back next week to continue hustling.